Hey, y'all. On today's podcast, we show you how Jeff sold over 2,000 memberships and made over $1 million online.
Welcome to the Flip Lifestyle Podcast, where life always comes before work. We're your hosts, Shane and Jocelyn Sams. We're a real family that figured out how to make our entire living online. And now, we help other families do the same. Are you ready to flip your life? All right, let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. It is great to be back with you again today. Super excited because we have an incredible, amazing, out-of-this-world success story. We're talking to a Flip Your Life community member and a longtime Flip Lifestyle listener who built an online business and has sold to over 2,000 memberships and made over $1 million online. We're talking to our good friend, Jeff Twiddy, today. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys.
Subtle, Jeff.
That just made me laugh. I'm sorry.
That was awesome.
A man of few words.
A few words, Jeff Twiddy. I can feel you shrinking back. You're like, stop talking about all my success.
Yeah.
Oh, this is fantastic.
I love it. We're leaving all this in. Okay, let's talk about this a little bit here, Jeff. Okay. So you are a longtime listener of the Flip Lifestyle Podcast. I remember the very first time that you ever wrote into to us, and you were like, "Hey, man, I just want to let you know that I started my online business just listening to your podcast. I would just do everything you said to do every week, and now I'm making money online, and my goal is to make enough money for my wife to quit her job, and then my goal might be to quit my job someday." And I also remember when you joined the Flip Your Life community, you were like, "Hey, man, I just wanted to let you know I'm joining the Flip Your Life community, and I'm just going to stay forever whether I use it or not because of what you all have done for me." So,
that is true.
That is true. So
we need more members like you, Jeff.
That's right. We do. Just everybody join, and we'll talk to you later. No, I'm just kidding. So I shot you a message recently, and I was just checking out how things were going. And man, it's crazy what's happening in your life. Like your wife has quit her job. You've quit your job. I think you were somewhere in Florida, on vacation, just having fun, in the middle of the week when I checked in on you. So Jeff, get us all caught up. Tell everybody a little bit about who you are, your background, what you used to do, or what you started online, and kind of where you're at today.
Yeah, so the way I found you guys, I think I said this on the first time I was on the podcast, was I was on the lawnmower, same way you were, listening to Pat Flynn, and I heard you guys on his show, and then I started following you guys, mowing the grass, you know what I mean? And then from there, it just one thing led to another. Like you said, I did everything you guys said and just kept doing it. And couple years later, here we are, and yes, life is very different. So
you didn't wave your magic wand and make millions of dollars, right?
Oh no, absolutely not. To say it's hard work. No, everybody only sees the success. They don't see all the work that went into it. You know what I mean?
When did you get started online?
Well, I can tell you exactly when I made my first dollar. It would have been the back to school for 2015.
Yeah.
It was October of 2015. I made $148 that month.
Oh, that's amazing. And you were probably listening for a few months before that, building everything out before you had that first, dollar online.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a completely different business. I've morphed over the years into what I actually did. And it just kind of, it changes as you go. You learn what you can do, what you're good at, what you're not good at. And just, it's all trial and error. But, at the end of the day, the way I did it anyways was I just kept doing what I liked to do, not necessarily what I thought was going to make me the most money. And because I was passionate about what I was doing, it became successful, if that makes sense.
Oh, for sure. And you have built your business pretty much entirely based around memberships, right? Like monthly memberships.
Yeah, 100%. In the beginning, I sold one-off football courses, kind of like you did. I had one on the how to install a spread offense. It was basically Chip Kelly's Oregon offense. Not that means anything to anybody, but I studied his offense and ran it with a couple of my teams and was successful with it. So I sold that I think it was $147 for the course, and then I raised it to $497 over the course of the first year. Actually, my wife and I were in Canada, and I talked to you that night. It was New Year's Eve, and you said, "Just double your prices, just double your prices, just double your prices," and I did, and that's kind of where it blew up from there. And then I turned that into a membership site as well. So now at this point we have 3 and we'll have 4 by the end of this month, probably.
And I think, and we were talking earlier today, and you have over 2,000 members right now, right?
Yeah, over 2,500 actually.
Oh my gosh. Is that not insane? Do you ever just think about that? Like 25 other human beings are giving you money every month.
That's active members though.
Oh yeah, for
not
sure.
Like total of all time. You know what I mean?
It's crazy. I know. It's mind blowing. It's not even a majority of the people that you could sell to either. Like it's just like a fraction of what's actually possible probably out there for your business.
Oh yeah. I mean, just take like my math curriculum alone, like the membership for the math website is, let's just say there's 2,500 members in there. 2,500 of how many math teachers are there on planet Earth?
Exactly.
I mean, I have school districts in Guam, in Australia, and all over the world that like whole school districts that use only my curriculum.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Yeah. I tried to figure it out one day. I looked back at all the people that had ever bought our U.S. history teacher curriculum, and I tried to calculate how many students had been taught U.S. history because of the thing that we created, right? And it's like...
That's got to be a crazy number.
Oh, it was tens of thousands of students.
One day we were just kind of like going over, okay, of all the products and services we've just randomly created over the years, like... how many people have been impacted? How many people have been taught? You know, I don't even know that I can count that.
And like Jocelyn's librarian curriculum, I can't even imagine because that's like to the 10x power because librarians teach the entire school, right? Like They teach the entire elementary school. So it's like every time she sold a curriculum, it was just like 600 kids, 600 kids, 600, you know, it's absolutely like mind blowing. And then we tried to figure out like, for example, like we started Flip Lifestyle to inspire people like you to do what we were doing, right? And one of the cool things about the Flip Your Life community is it's not just all entrepreneur, business, life coach niche, right? It's everybody's selling everything. We got people doing curriculum. We've got people raising chickens. We've got people growing plants. It's just incredible. Like there's a lady that shears sheep and sells the wool. Like there's just so many things going on in there. And we started doing the math of the ripple effect of just boom, boom, boom. Like, you know, like we help Jeff and then Jeff goes and helps all these teachers and they go help all those people. And then we help Teresa and she goes and shears a bunch of sheep and then she has a membership of 500 people who are also out there, you know, doing arts and crafts, right? And it just go and we got a guy named Kevin and he teaches people how to play guitar and just it's incredible how far your reach really goes when you put yourself online.
Yeah, and you're the math teacher, so you can probably tell us much more about this.
Yeah, could you figure the exponential quotient?
Yeah, we're not so good at the math.
Ripple effect of the whatever now.
Yeah, but I mean, it's got to be in like the crazy numbers. And we don't say that to pat ourselves on the back. It's just like, it's crazy.
Yeah, well,
I can't even imagine just sitting here in Kentucky and we're impacting all these people either directly or indirectly just by starting something.
Can you imagine me going back 6 years ago? Right before you found us on the podcast and catching and just coming up to you, random stranger, and said, "Hey, man, what's your name?" And you're like, "I'm Jeff." Hey, Jeff, in 6 years, you're going to be reaching tens of thousands of students and hundreds of teachers all across the world. What would you have said to me? Like, what would you have said?
Insane.
Then?
Well, I mean, and that's what we were talking about before. Like when you talk to people about it, and even the people that listen to the podcast, like it almost seems unrealistic when you put it into like understandable perspectives. The smallest niche in the world, like even underwater basket weaving or whatever, you know, that's like a common thing that everybody throws out there for weird things. Like there are people that still like that stuff. And if you have 100, 200, 300 people that want to learn about that and you can teach it to them, you can make a living doing that. You don't need tens of thousands or even thousands of members. You know what I mean?
It also, yeah. It also
when you're coming something from like teaching where we aren't the highest paid people in the world anyways.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Like, because something we've talked a lot about in the past and we've even talked about today before we got on air was how weird it is to sell that many things every single month, right? Like how weird it is to be a business owner, to see all these people and being able to reach out and impact all these people around the country, around the world. And then all of a sudden you make a ton of money, like more money in a month than you made in a year before. And it's all just because of the law of large numbers. If I get 1,000 people to give me $50 a month,
and more money in a week.
Yeah, exactly. So like how,
that's
like,
absurd.
we were talking before we came on air, you were kind of like, "Oh guys, what are we going to share? I feel weird talking about this." Like, you know, like why do you think that is? Like, why is that so weird? Because I think that feeling is actually what keeps a lot of people listening to this podcast from starting.
because it seems unbelievable. So like, I mean, I started as a teacher, and the way the geometry, I started with geometry only. So we'll go there. The way that started was when I started teaching, I was given no resources. I was in one of the big 8 inner city school districts in Ohio, and they pretty much just said, here you go, good luck, with nothing to use and whatever. So I took all the stuff that I created, I put it online and started selling it. I mean, that's what happened. And, you know, like you go from like having to, I don't want to say living on a budget, because everybody still lives on a budget to an extent, but like you go from like literally just trying to figure things out, how to like pay bills at certain times of the month and making sure things don't like go bad because you're so budgeted, to like, I guess the best, in an entrepreneur perspective, the best way to describe it would be at the beginning, you know how when you first start out and you have your little Stripe account or PayPal account and you have the alerts turned on, and every single day you're watching for your phone to go off to see that you're making a little bit of money every day with your online business. And then, you know, you get to the point where finally you have to shut those things off,
right,
because it's going off all day long, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
What a like, problem to have, though,
I know,
right?
darn. Oh, it's so
right,
tough.
But, and it seems unbelievable, but like it happened. It happened to me, to you, to hundreds of other people.
Exactly.
That we know.
Exactly.
I mean,
it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I always, it's also neat too. Like, it's funny, like how your perspective changes. Like as you go through like these, you know, we have there's a course inside the Flip Your Life community. It's called the Flip Life Cycle. And we go through the 4 stages of like entrepreneurship, right? And there comes a point where you start really burning it up, and you realize what's possible. Like, I think that's where that weird, awkward feeling comes from, is because our whole life, we're not taught that that's possible. We're not taught that you can go out and get 1,000 people to give you $50 a month, right? We're not taught that. And the reason we're not taught that is because until 20 years ago, it probably wasn't possible until the internet made it possible for you to put yourself out on the internet and literally reach any one of 4 billion people that were also connected to the internet. So we really weren't taught that when we were growing up. And that leads to this weird, awkward thing. But then as you go through it and you realize what's possible, and Jocelyn and I've talked a lot about this lately, like I think in 2019, we hit a cap where we were like, what is possible? Like we started looking at all these amazing things and doing the math, and we're like, yeah, we could probably chase any one of those paths. And then when you look at the month, like it cracks me up now that I look at a month, it'll be like, you'll look at a month and it'll be disappointing. And you're like, why am I disappointed in making more than I used to make in a year?
Yeah, well, because
a month,
you
right?
keep raising the bar.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you're an athlete. So part of it is that, you know, you're competitive. Like when you achieve something, like when you hit the 6-figure mark, you're like, well, that wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be. Let's try for 7. You know what I mean?
Yes,
so it's like that. Or when you're sitting here looking at your MRR in your QuickBooks or whatever you use, and your MRR is more than what you made in a year teaching per month. You know what I mean? Like just stupid things like that are just so absurd and unbelievable to anyone else.
Well, let me ask you this, piggybacking off of that then, okay? And guys, listen, everybody listening to this show today, we're not just sitting here talking about these things flippantly. We're trying to show you like what is possible, and all of this is possible. 4. Yes, exactly. Like you're talking 4 or 5 years down the road, but like if you start at $148 on that first month, you'll end up somewhere great. Like if you keep doing it, but like how does the success make you feel on the positive side? We talked a little bit about how it's kind of weird and it's kind of awkward and it's kind of like we're still getting used to it. But like, how does it make you feel to know that you set this goal a couple years ago? Hey, I want to follow in their footsteps and try to do what they did. And then you did it. And you're like, wow, my first goal was to let my wife quit her job. She did that. And then my next goal was for me to quit my job. And then all of a sudden now you're talking about like even bigger and badder goals. Like, how do I do this? How do I do that? And how do I go, retire at 37 or whatever? Like, how does that make you feel, that part of it, from a pride standpoint?
I mean, the whole being retired at 37 thing is still crazy. I mean, it still hasn't sunk in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I guess like, I don't want to say it's unbelievable because it hasn't sunk in, but it's like, it also is very uncomfortable because I grew up, without, for the most part, most things. Like we were very, I would say, not even middle class. And then to be at a point where your kids don't ever have to ask like literally anything you want. Like the things that are uncomfortable are like having to make the choice to tell your kids no sometimes, or to set limits on things. Like we spent Christmas in Siesta Key in a big resort, like, and, you know, did all these crazy things that we don't need to discuss as far as like just over the top, because again, it seems unbelievable. But then we came home, took the kids home, we went back to Key West, and we're going to Miami this weekend. So we went on 3 vacations in a month.
Okay, hold on. Like, tell me everybody wants, now you can't just say, I did this awesome stuff, but I'm not going to tell you. Like, what was it? Tell me it over at the top. Like you're not bragging. It sounds like you're bragging.
You're
not bragging.
So like for Christmas, we hired a personal chef to come into our room. Like we took the whole family. So we were in this like 4-bedroom resort in a penthouse, and hired a personal chef to come in and make us dinner and dessert and everything for the night. And we just all sat around and talked and hung out.
That's
like
awesome.
Most people can't even fathom. But most people can't even fathom that. You know what I mean?
I know. But it's crazy because look, dude, you're using the resources and the blessings that have come into your life. And, you know, you talk about how, well, we grew up this way, but now you get to turn around and bless all those people you grew up with, man.
Yeah, I love that. And that's actually one of my dreams, is to have someone to come in and cook for us several times
every day, like at home, not just on like the trip, right? That's our next level.
And it's hard to set, it is hard to set boundaries on those things, because you're like, well, would my time be better spent else? We could have been making the meal ourselves, but then we wouldn't have been hanging out, talking, like enjoying each other's company on Christmas. Like, you know how like the people that are cooking are stressed out and all that stuff. So it's like, I mean, it's just like I said, it's unbelievable things that are just like, you don't want to sound like you're bragging, because at heart, I'm still a math teacher. You know what I mean? It's still like, that's who I am. But adjusting to all these things is what's kind of wild.
But don't wish away God's blessings either. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like when people do that. Because like you, not only did your family get to enjoy that meal, but the other entrepreneur, the chef, who clearly made the choice to go out and serve that day to make a good living, like that's what they chose to do. You blessed them with your commerce. You know what I'm saying? We went to Thanksgiving dinner in a restaurant a couple years ago, and we left $100 tip for our server because she was out working. Like, we were able to do that. And I don't say that to again, we're not talking about bragging here. It's just like, no, this is what it is, man. It's like we're blessing other people.
The coolest part, to be able to do things like that. Yeah, we do that all the time. It's just like, I don't know. It feels like you're giving back, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. What did your family think about all this? You know, that's something that we ask people a lot. You know, I'm talking about even your extended family. I know that the people who live in the house with you probably are a little bit more aware of what you do and understand it a little bit more. But what about like the extended family? Did you have any negativity? Because I know sometimes in that situation, people will be like, oh, it must be nice, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. It's like even the immediate family, it took a while for them to believe, you know what I mean, but they were actually like living it. So I guess, you know, at this point, everybody understands and sees that it's real. Like, most people don't think it's like, they don't understand, can't even fathom it. Like, not real. Like, what do you mean you're retired and you're 37 years old? And I'm not retired. Like, I work every day of my life, you know what I mean? But
you own it and you're doing it yourself.
Right. Yeah. Right. So it's like, what do you mean you quit teaching? What do you mean you quit doing this stuff? Like, my mom just does not understand it at all. Like, cannot comprehend it.
My mom still doesn't understand.
Same.
Yeah, my mom still doesn't understand.
She just does not get it, refuses to. And it's weird, as I thought she would more so than my dad, but my dad's just like, yep, he gets it. Like,
yeah,
it's just, everybody's different. You know, some people, I mean, everybody's different. Everybody's got their different views and whatever. And all you can do is try to surround yourself with people that do understand and do want you to be successful and things like that. And your friend groups definitely change through all of it. You know what I mean? Like, there's lots of things you got to adjust to, for sure.
Tell me about your life in general. Let's talk about like you and your wife and your kids. Okay. So I remember when you first came in, or when I first started talking to you, you were listening to the podcast, you were doing your thing, come into the community, we talk more, get you on the podcast, you're growing, and you set this goal. And I remember your wife, you know, she quit her job, and then you kept going, you kept teaching, you kept coaching football, but now you've quit everything. Right? Like, you're not coaching, You're not teaching, you're not doing anything. So you're actually on the other side completely now. You have left the old life behind, and you are just all in entrepreneur, membership marketing every day. So like how has that changed your life, like from a day-to-day basis, like with your relationship with like you and your wife, your kids, like the time freedom, and like how do you structure your day? Like how has your life really changed?
I mean, really, we're still adjusting to all that because football season just ended, 2 months ago. So, I don't know. We've been traveling. We're starting another business. Currently, we've hired 3 people to work on that, and we're just expanding. I mean, the revenue's gone up since I quit, obviously, because I've got to spend more time on it. But I don't know. It's pretty unbelievable just to look at your screen and see a hockey stick for your numbers. It's just, it's unbelievable. There's no other word to describe it.
I love how speechless you sound. I love it because you're just in it.
I'll be real. I'll just be real with you. So what do? We get up, we go see our personal trainer and work out in the morning. Then we come back and I get up earlier than everybody else. So I work in the morning. I like to work for an hour or so in the morning just to check and make sure everything's running smooth for the day with all the employees and everything. Get everybody on the same page. I actually have a manager for the one website now. So she kind of takes care of all the other employees and is in charge of most of that stuff. So I just check in with them and then we go do whatever we want for the rest of the day. And that's kind of how it goes. We travel a lot. We've been traveling a lot. Get to go to all the kids' events. We don't miss anything.
Yeah, that's awesome. Different. That's like our favorite thing. What would you say is the biggest thing that helped you get from, say where you were and you talked about that hockey stick? What would you say is the biggest thing that was like the most influential in getting you to the point that you are now?
Getting over the hump of belief. You know what I mean? Like getting through the mental part of this is what I have to do. I'm just going to keep doing it until it works. Well, I mean, there's a couple of milestones. The first one is when you make your first dollar. Once you make your first dollar, you're like, okay, this is real. That makes that light bulb go off. Then you have to get over the fear of putting yourself out there a little bit. And that's probably most people's biggest fear, I would say, wouldn't you guys?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, without question. Like, look at this conversation we're having right now, right? Like, it's like me and Jocelyn are totally out there and we still struggle with it, right? And then you're just getting out there. Right. And you're like, I've been doing this 5 years and it's still weird. And then we go back and think imagine how much harder it was the first time you actually put yourself out there.
And let's kind of talk about this. Like, okay, so that is the fear of pretty much everyone who goes into this business is, what's going to happen? So has anything extremely negative ever happened to you as a result of putting this out there? I mean, aside from like a couple of random trolls or like mean people on customer service, other than that, has anything significant ever happened to you as a result of starting this business?
No, not at all. Not as far as that goes.
Negative.
Absolutely not. No. I mean, really, I've never even had any trolls or anything. Like as long as your stuff's good, then people like it. You get haters. Everybody gets that. But I mean, you just delete them, block them, and you're done with that. So
yeah, for sure.
No, I mean, like, I guess the biggest adjustment though is like going from having to do everything to when and then the next milestone would probably be hiring your first VA or employee or whatever you choose to offload something that you don't realize is costing you so much time that it's costing you money, and trading your dollars for somebody else's time to help you. That's probably a huge milestone. And that's honestly probably the one that's going to contribute to the most hockey stick growth. You know what I mean? Once you start bringing on a team and there's more brains involved and things like that.
I figured out the other day, like I was doing some math on this the other day, and I figured out that for every 5 hours I work on the right task, I can buy 160 hours of someone else's time. When I realized that, when I started looking at that, I was like, whoa, I need to like spend my 5 hours correctly and just go get 100. Because then all of a sudden your 10 hours turns into 300 hours and your 20 hours turns, and that's where the big growth goes. We're talking like in the thousands of members, in the millions of dollars, like it goes to the next level.
Even if it's just to be able to shut off for a minute and get away from it, it's worth it, because that's when you do your best thinking and best whatever. So like, and this sounds really dumb, but every time I hire somebody new, my revenue goes up.
Isn't that crazy how that works? It's like the double your prices thing.
Because I only had so many hours in a day. Now I'm to the point where I only work a couple hours a day. I mean, I can choose to do what I want to do or however many hours I want. Like, if there's a catastrophe or something where I got to spend the whole day, I can. But to me, my time is more valuable than that couple of extra dollars I would make by not having somebody else do it.
It's like when we hired our personal assistant, not from a business standpoint, a literal person that comes to our house every day for 6 hours and makes the beds, does the laundry, goes to the store for us, makes our doctor appointments, like just does all those, offloads those tasks. That is the biggest multiplier in our life. And when people find out we have a personal assistant, that's another awkward conversation because it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's very awkward. 100%.
Right. And it's actually one of the biggest struggles we have with people like you, even like successful people. We try to convince them you need to hire someone in your house, a home manager. And that's a huge matter because people are like, well, I can do my own laundry. I can do this. I can do that. I can go to the store. But like, it's been the greatest thing that we've ever done. It allows us to be talking to you at 11:30 in the morning while our kids are at school. Right. And like that's a huge multiplier.
Yep. Or being able to hire a Beachbody super trainer, then to work with you 4 or 5 days a week in the morning when you first get up.
Yeah, that's
just you and one other person, nobody else.
Do you go to their house or their gym, or is it like you and your wife working out together?
It's a gym. It's a gym, but it's just us. Yeah, we work out together.
That's awesome. That's absolutely amazing.
Well, I love just talking about all this. It's nice to just talk through it and know that you're not alone. I think that some of those mental struggles never go away. It's definitely a cyclical thing, or it has been for us anyway. Okay, let's talk some about advice that you would give to people out there who have not started. So if there's somebody listening to this podcast, maybe they're on their lawnmower too. Who knows? This is like the 3rd generation lawnmower or something.
Right, exactly. Right. How many lawnmowers deep can we go? That's the goal here.
And, if they're just listening, what would you say to that person?
Honestly, I'd say just we've talked about the humps and the hurdles and things you got to get over, the mental blocks and all that. But at the end of the day, all you need to think about is, if you don't do it, what is it going to cost you versus if you do? Like if you do it and whatever, it doesn't work out, fine, whatever, you wasted a little bit of time. But if you do it and it takes off and you're successful with it and you love it and you get to retire and travel and do whatever it is that you want to do with your life, like that's like all you should need to think about. Like what happens if you don't do it?
I love the analogy of like, if like take 5 years ago, 2015, you hear this on the lawnmower, right? And you say to yourself, all right, where am I going to be in 5 years? Well, if I do nothing, I'm going to be right here on this lawnmower, coaching football and teaching. I'm going to be doing the same thing I'm doing right now.
Not even keeping up with inflation.
Exactly. But you're going to be in the same place, right? Well, here's the deal. If you try it, and in 5 years, even if it doesn't work, you're still in the same place. But now you have a chance. Like you've given yourself the opportunity. Like, look where you are 5 years later. Thousands of members, crazy, traveling and time with your spouse and time with your kids and being able to control your destiny. But the only guarantee that you're still on that lawnmower is if you don't try, right? But you did try, so you gave yourself a chance and you ended up where you're going to be. And everybody's got to do that. You've got to either stay the same or go do something different. That's really the only choice to make.
Even once you try, even if you fail, you don't really fail. You learn what you failed at, so you can try on to the next thing or get better off of it. Like the first business that I was running it was successful, but not to this extent. You know what I mean? And now I spend no time on that at all. When you fail, you learn every single time.
So let me ask you this: like, how? And this is our selfish question. This is our shameless plug question. But like, how? Go back to when you first listened to the Flip Lifestyle podcast. Like, what was the difference? I mean, there's so many different entrepreneur podcasts and business things and, all sorts of stuff you can listen to. But like, why did our podcast like change the game for you? Like, what was the thing that you latched onto?
That's easy because you were exactly like me. You were the one riding around on the lawnmower, the football coach, the teacher. Like I saw me and you, if that makes sense. So it was believable to me. If I would have been listening to, just Pat Flynn or John Lee Dumas or, Gary Vee or any of these, over the top, entrepreneurs that everybody's heard of, that seems unrealistic. But you guys were like real people. You were teachers. You were just like me. That's what it was.
I love it. And that's why I love our community, because it's packed with real people. Like every success story that we find, it's like a mom or a dad, and they've got kids and they've got real concerns. They're dealing with real issues in their life, and they still find a way to go put it all together. It's not easy. It's crazy hard, but it works. And they do it and they do it and they keep taking action, and things kind of spiral out of control to where they find success, that tip of the iceberg, 5 years later. Right. And it's just an awesome place to be, because like the people are real. It's not single people living on $6 a day in, Thailand or something, right? It's like, hey, we live in America, or maybe we live in England or Australia or Canada or wherever, but we've got jobs. We want to build something better, a better future for our family, and we're all doing it kind of together. So it's good stuff. Well, listen, Jeff, man, we really appreciate you coming on the show today. Your story is absolutely, positively, ridiculously inspiring. It's amazing. And as unbelievable as it sounds, we see people doing this all the time in the Flip Your Life community. And it really takes people like you coming on the show, being transparent, even when it's awkward and it feels weird, to really, someone out there is going to listen to this and they're on their lawnmower and they're going to be inspired by your story. And that's going to be the catalyst that helps them write a new story for their family's future, man. So thank you so much for being on the show. We're proud of you, man. You should be proud of yourself. And I can't wait to see what you do next.
Yeah, I can't thank you guys enough. Everything has definitely happened because I was riding on my lawnmower and heard your voice and followed through. I mean, following through is the important part. Once you get over those barriers and the roadblocks and just being nervous of it, making it believable, like just find a way to make your first dollar. And then from there, it's just keep grinding.
Wow. What an amazing success story. Can you imagine going out and starting an online business and making that first sale? And then can you imagine it growing to the point where your spouse can quit their job or you can quit their job? And then you look up and you're making more money in a single month than you were making in a year before. That is what happened to Jeff. We have seen that story happen over and over and over again inside the Flip Your Life community. And we would love for that story to happen in your life too. If you're just starting out, all you really need is an idea. And then you need to go research that idea to make sure that it makes money online. We've got a free idea course just for you over at fliplifestyle.com/free. If you go to fliplifestyle.com/free right now, we're going to help you find and use your God-given skills, talents, and experiences to start, build, and grow an online business just like Jeff did. So head over to fliplifestyle.com/free right now and get your free idea course so that you can start building your success story today.
Before we go, we love to close our show with a Bible verse. And this week's verse is Proverbs 13:11, which says, "Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it."
And that's the story that we see over and over inside the Flip Your Life community. Guys, look, it takes a long time to be an overnight success, but you can get there if you build it brick by brick, work little by little, and you've got to start so that you can get there in the end. That's all the time we have for this week, guys. Thanks for listening to this week's show. We hope it inspired you to get out there and take action. Until next time, do whatever it takes to flip your life. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Our dog's just busted in. Hold on one second.
Hello, baby.
Hey, hold on a second. Let me get these. Hold on. Our dog's they literally just battering rammed through the door, like crashed through.
And I got a German Shepherd.
We are off the rails early. I love it. Hold on.
Oh, boy.